Hi, I'm Deidre.
And I'm Andrew, and this is Eclectica. Today we're going to talk about Star Trek: The Strange New Worlds. All right, so we are both Star Trek fans. I am
100%.
I am a what I would call a Star Trek purist.
What is purist?
Yes.
What does that mean exactly?
That means that I believe in for example, a closed canon on the timeline. If it happened in the original series, then you need to respect what happened in the new series, like they didn't do in Star Trek: Strange New Worlds with the Gorn.
I see what you're saying on that. Me personally, I would guess I am more of an open person. I feel that whatever they come up with is a good thing because that expands our imagination in our world of Star Trek.
Oh, okay. Well, tell me, overall, what did you think of Strange New Worlds' second season?
Well, to be honest, I think it started off kind of slow and melancholy in a way, but then it sped up and it talked to us about different parts of Star Trek. And what I mean by that is when it came to like the musical portion of Star Trek, that to me was beautiful. Because I'm a musical person and I think musicals are great. So I think that was beautiful. But at the same time, they're, dealing and staying to the Star Trek canon portion of it all, I think was pretty good. Until the end.
Until the end, yes.
Yeah.
Well, see, here's my problem with the Star Trek canon. According to Star Trek history, Captain Kirk was the first person to encounter the Gorn.
Yes.
And the Gorn that he encountered was much less Jurassic than the ones in the new series here.
So true.
And I don't know. I mean, these are like little dinosaurs running around, and I don't know. I'm having a hard time. I'm having a hard time with this kind of Gorn. I would have called them something else if you were going to introduce little dinosaurs. But because there are all sorts of aliens that you didn't have to call them Gorn.
Yeah. I understand.
And so there's that, and just the violation of the timeline. That bugs me. Picard did that horribly with Guinan, but that's a whole nother discussion.
But I disagree with that. But that's time for another discussion.
Yes.
But when it comes to the Gorn, okay, I think Kirk encountered them, and that was a full adult Gorn. Okay, I think before that, everyone encountered the juvenile of the Gorn, and I think what they turn into and what they become is the humanoid form of the Gorn. But in the middle of it all, we have the children, the juvenile, and then we end up with the young adult and then the adult. So I think this is a way of explaining the whole, when it comes to I would say, the evolution of the Gorn.
I like how you put that. That kind of makes it plausible for me. I have to be able to connect the dots, and so okay, juvenile Gorn versus adult Gorn. Okay, maybe, but it's still violated the timeline. So
I don't think it violated the timeline, but I see what you're saying. Okay, because we did not know what the Gorn was before Kirk. We only knew what Kirk encountered at that point. We didn't know who they were, what they were, or nothing about them until that point.
Yes, but see, we have a history now of Gorn encounters prior to Kirk. It's just you're raising havoc with the timeline. The timeline is holy. You don't violate that. But anyway, so let's talk a little bit about Mr. Spock and Nurse Chapel.
Okay.
I'm having some problems with that.
And what are we having problems with?
They're too romantic.
I disagree, but go ahead.
And the only thing that I like about their little romance thing was the musical, where she basically said what she decided what she was going to do and what was important for her, and Mr. Spock didn't really fit into her plans, and that gave a plausible reason for the way they were in the original series as opposed to the way they are in Strange New Worlds. So, but
The Strange New Worlds was before the original because it was Captain Pike.
Yes.
So it was before the original. So if you take their whole relationship and put all that into the Strange New Worlds, and then take what was left of that and put it into the new Kirk Captain, situation, it is different. It was definitely because she was more of a pining for him than he was a more of pining for her. It was more of a trying to pull himself back from her than she was basically trying to pull him forward in the original series, that is.
Yes.
But I also feel that there is a deep connection between the two in Strange New Worlds. And I think that that will explain everything that comes after. But you have to remember, in timelines, there are different lines when it comes to timelines.
Well,
Different things that happens in timelines.
Yeah. If you
so
want to put them in another dimension, maybe okay, but not on my timeline.
Okay, I understand what you're saying, but in an actual timeline, any action that is different from the action of the original timeline creates a new timeline.
Well, see, okay. You can stumble into the realm of hokiness, though, if you do that. And this, okay, remember the old series, Space 1999?
Yes.
They had this one little spaceship. It was their kind of the flagship of all of their little shuttlecraft things. It was called Eagle One, and Eagle One was destroyed, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 times in the series.
Yes.
And it's like you can't just make it up again.
I understand. Yes.
And the timeline doesn't work that way.
Okay, I understand.
So it's the same thing with Star Trek. When you mess with the timeline, you turn a venerable series into something that's kind of hokey.
I disagree. I don't believe that it's hokey. I believe it brings depth. It brings depth to each character and to each timeline. It brings a depth to learning who they are, who they were, who they are today versus who they are tomorrow. And I believe in the depth of it, and so I have to disagree with that.
Well, speaking of depth, another complaint that I have with Strange New Worlds is that, when I watch Star Trek, I want to go out into space. I want to boldly go where no man or person, depending, has ever gone before. And they hardly go anywhere. The whole season, it's all Spock and what's her name's love affair, and then it's somebody else, the number one, and all the whole trial and all of that. And it's like, when are we ever going to have Star Trek? When are we ever actually going to encounter something really interesting? And so there was a real disappointment because they're saying Star Trek, Strange New Worlds, and what I get is Star Trek, in dry dock somewhere, or Star Trek, just a few rooms here and there while Spock and Chapel have their meltdown, or you know, so very disappointing.
I understand what you're saying, but I think it is building a foundation of who they are. Because if you think about it, if you go through the original series, you look at Chapel and Spock, and you like, okay, so how did all this happen? When did they decide? And all this, you know, you have a lot of unanswered questions. But then if you look at Strange New Worlds, those questions are answered.
Well, see, this is what I would have rather they had done. I wish they would have given me real Star Trek. And then after a few episodes, maybe 2 or 3 episodes of real Star Trek, give me a backstory. And then give me another couple of 3 episodes and then another backstory. Not a whole season of backstory.
Okay, I understand what you're saying. You know, you want original Star Trek. You know, I want the beginning, the middle, and the end right now. Mm-hmm. Okay, I understand that. Yes. But I think learning the backstory, no matter how long it takes, I think is a good thing. Because we learn each character. We understand each character. We believe who each character is. And I know that takes longer, okay, than it did from the original series, where everything was kind of calm. You know, everything was created in one 45-minute story, and that was it. You know, or Next Generation, 45-minute story. It was it. Even if they had a part 2, it was still all answered in one particular time frame.
It was episodic.
Yes, very episodic. But I like the difference and the growing and the learning and the education of each person. Like when we learned about the Doctor and Nurse Chapel and the war that they fought and what they learned and who they learned they were at that point, that is priceless. And I think those are beautiful things to learn. And when it pertains to Star Trek characters, you get to learn who they are, why they are, you know. And I just think that's just a beautiful thing for them, you know, to learn.
Well, speaking of beauty, okay. Star Trek the musical.
Okay.
Okay, that was a real mixed bag for me, and this is why. You know that I don't care for musicals.
Yes.
Because on what planet, and there's a lot of them out in the Star Trek universe, on what planet do people go walking along and they reach a crisis point or a point of decision and then they just break out into song and dance? Where does that ever happen in reality? And yet it happened in this episode. Now, that's kind of my general attitude towards musicals. But I have to admit, they at least gave a plausible reason for this to happen because of this anomaly that they sent the music into the anomaly and then it bounced back in some fashion and all of a sudden everybody communicates in music.
Yes.
So at least they made it plausible as far as how this happened. Correct. So that allowed me to kind of enjoy the episode, except the dancing Klingons was a little too much. A little too much.
I will say this: I was a little unnerved about that too.
That was just disturbing.
But I understand the process. You got to understand the process. But that was a little unnerving to me too. But go ahead.
But what I really, really did enjoy was when I found out that they weren't using stand-ins for the vocals. These people were actually singing their parts, and the amount of skill that they had. And then there was the choreography. I was like, I kind of like choreography. And so even though it was a musical, I found that I kind of enjoyed that episode, even though they weren't very far out in space. So,
Well, me personally, I loved it because I'm a musical kind of person. But I loved it, and then watching the the Ready Room, and the, all the all the how they came about learning all this and putting it all together and stuff with the choreography and the singing and stuff, it made me appreciate it more, learning that each character had a musical background in some form or fashion. That made it great.
yeah, it really showed the broad skill set
Yes.
that these people have, and I did
Yes.
appreciate that.
And then show that these people are not just one dimensional. They're not just Star Trek people. They are several dimensions, because they are musical, they are actors, they are, everything, like the security officer. I hate to say this, but I can't remember her exact name other than Nunyan. Yes. But her singing was beautiful. Okay. And then learning that she has history in the musicals. That was beautiful.
Uhura's vocals were
Ahura,
amazing.
thank you. Ahura was just, oh my goodness gracious, off the Richter scale, so I just think it was just, it to me, it showed the range of the actors themselves.
It did do that,
And I really enjoyed that.
it did. Yes. So this is kind of our kickoff discussion on all things Star Trek. We happen to be talking today about Star Trek: Strange New Worlds,
Yes.
and just the second season in general.
Okay.
We may, from time to time, pick an episode and pick
Okay.
it apart, or we may talk about a different Star Trek.
It would be
series.
something in the Star Trek world,
Something in the Star Trek world.
cartoon or not.
Well,
Yes.
I don't know about cartoons because that's not real Trek.
No, that is that is Trek. Hey, Below Deck is where it's at. Okay, but that's another story in itself. Go ahead.
Cartoons. Are for
No,
little kids.
no. That's where it is. Hey, and they even switched. They were real to life, and then
That
cartoons.
episode
So
sucked so bad.
it
That
did
was the
not.
worst episode.
I disagree. I have to disagree.
Well,
to
when
me,
we
that was
discussed
beautiful.
episode, when we discussed that horribly done video,
I think it was beautiful.
or episode. Okay.
Okay,
Well,
go ahead.
so the big question is, will they be renewed for season 3? And if I was sitting in the chair making the decision based on what I saw in season 2, I would say,
No. Star Trek Below Decks up. A Star Trek Strange New Worlds. I just want to see what more they can do. And
I would like to see them do something.
they have done something. Oh my gosh. We are so in a disagreement of this. It's crazy.
A little bit.
But they have done something. It just takes a minute to get to where
They took a whole season.
it
And they didn't go anywhere.
But you have to remember, a regular season is like 22.
Well,
20
nowadays it's only 10 episodes.
True. But 22 episodes and stuff. But nowadays, unfortunately, it's like 10 episodes, maybe 15 or something. But if we can get at least 20 episodes, 20.
And make
20.
more, and make more than maybe 1 or 2 a real Trek, you know.
No, they're all Trek. Okay, they're all Trek.
Okay.
But if we can do 20 episodes of Strange New Worlds, that would be great. And hey, I'm like this, 2 thumbs up. So if we can do that, that would be wonderful.
Okay. Well, now here's the question. This discussion is a potential spin-off from Eclectica.
Okay.
The proposed possible channel TLC for the Trek Lovers Convention.
Or the Trek Lovers Conversation. Go ahead.
Conversation. Yeah, we could change. Yeah, Trek
Okay,
Lovers
either
Conversation.
or, whichever works better.
We're kind of kicking the idea around, and the decision on whether or not we will actually make this spin-off channel is really up to you. We need to hear from you, and you can tell us thumbs up or thumbs down whether we should continue the discussion of all things Trek. And with that said, I guess we're done for now.
All righty.
So hopefully we'll see you next time.
Always next time.
Well, not if they don't say we want more.
You want more.